The phone call came from Venezuela. My mother was crying so hard, I could barely understand her. I remember gripping the phone tighter and tighter, my heart pounding, convinced someone had died. Then finally, through the sobs, she managed to say the words that would change my family forever. Andrea has been sexually abused. Andrea was my niece. She was only 4 years old, and the man who hurt her was her stepfather. I froze. Then came the shock, then anger, and then finally certainty. I knew exactly who the villain was, and I thought I knew exactly who had failed her too. What I didn't realize then was that the question that I didn't ask my sister Veronica, Andrea's mom, would cost us over 20 years of our lives. That question was this: what happened to you? You see, Andrea wasn't just my niece. Since she was a baby, my mother practically raised her to the point that Andrea called her grandmother Mom, because her own mother, my sister Veronica, was rarely around. In our family, Veronica was the difficult one, the irresponsible one, the one who always wanted to go out and have fun and not take care of anything whatsoever. At least that was the story we told ourselves about her. So when Veronica met a man, got married, and had a stable home, my mother believed Andrea could finally go and live with her mother, be part of a proper family. And then this happened. I was devastated, furious. I too helped care for Andrea when she was little. She felt like my own daughter too. That day, I felt absolutely heartbroken. I remember pacing around my living room in England, thousands of miles away, feeling both helpless and enraged at the same time. My mother told me that Veronica had called the police, and I immediately said, "I'm coming." And I booked the first flight I could to Venezuela. There was only one mission: put this man in jail. And so I arrived, ready to fight for justice, ready to protect my niece, and ready to support my sister. But when I got there, I discovered something that completely shattered my understanding of who Veronica was. She had withdrawn the statement. The case had been dropped. I couldn't believe it. What kind of mother does this? How could she protect a man like that? How could she not fight for her own daughter? I was horrified. And that day, I stopped speaking to her. Not for a few weeks, not for a few months, for over 20 years. In my mind, the situation was very simple. I was right, she was wrong. Today, I want to show you how, by asking this question, 4 words, that I never thought to ask. This can transform the way we see the people we love and the people we've given up on. And so, for over 20 years, my sister and I live on the same planet, but not in the same life. And then one day, over 2 decades later, Veronica told me something I had never known. At the time all of this was happening, she herself had been living with domestic violence. Her husband was threatening her. But then she told me something else. When she was 4 years old, she too had been sexually abused by someone close to our family. I couldn't speak because in that moment, I was no longer looking at a woman who didn't care. I was looking at a terrified 4-year-old trapped inside an adult woman, doing the only thing she knew how to do: survive. And I had been calling her irresponsible for well over 20 years. And for the first time in over those 20 years, I stopped asking, what's wrong with her? And I started asking, what happened to her? That question changed everything. Not because it erased what happened, not because it made anything acceptable, but because it gave me something that my certainty never could: the truth. And here is what I've come to understand. We do this, all of us. We see someone's behavior and we think we know them. Selfish, weak, irresponsible, bad parent, bad person, bad partner. Behavior is visible. Pain is not. And behind the behavior you've been judging, there is almost always a story you were never told. Think about someone right now. The colleague who never delivers, the friend who disappeared, the parent who wasn't there. What if you don't know the whole story? What if behind the behavior there is a wound? When we ask better questions, we stop seeing people as problems to judge, and we start seeing them as human beings to understand. Sometimes I still think about that phone call from Venezuela. My mother crying, me in my living room in England, convinced I understood everything, convinced I knew who my sister was. I was so certain I was right. And about the facts I was. But certainty without curiosity is not justice. It is just distance. So, if there is someone in your life, someone you have reduced to a story, someone you have convinced yourself you know without ever becoming curious about the pain, I'd like to leave you with 4 words. Not, what's wrong with you? But, What happened to you? Those 4 words might change everything. Thank you.